Welcome to the Ego versus EQ and You podcast, where we discuss the key aspects of emotional intelligence and ways to apply it in everyday living. Now let's work together to make common sense more common. Welcome back to another episode in the Versus series. I am thrilled to have my co-host and work besties with me in studio today. I have Steve Friedline, Angela Bear. Welcome.
Thank you.
If you have not caught our show on YouTube, you are welcome to find us there, and you can see us in studio this time. So it might feel a little different than some of our prior episodes, but continuing on in our Versus series, I thought it would be interesting today to talk about emotional self-awareness, which is one of the core EQ skills, and emotional expression, sharing what we're thinking, feeling, and what's on our minds with others.
Yes. You know, people tend to shy away from that emotion word sometimes.
Yes.
And I think particularly where these two categories are concerned, it's good to clarify what they're really all about and how we can use them to our advantage in becoming more effective and efficient.
Well, they're both measured on the EQI 2.0 assessment, which we use pretty regularly. And it is something we look at to see, are these two in balance? We don't want one super high and one low. We need them to work together and be balanced with each other. So that would be the question, is to ask yourself, is my self-awareness and my emotional expression matched up pretty closely?
And what can happen if they're not well balanced?
Yeah.
I think that's really important. If someone has a low level of self-awareness but very willing to express emotion, that might be a little difficult for the audience to accept. Yeah. And in contrast, you meet certain people who have a very high level of self-awareness who could be sharing a lot more emotional expression that tend to hold back. So it's an opportunity for all of us, I think, to find a greater level of balance, both for ourselves and the people we work with.
I agree. I get asked many times during coaching sessions why emotional expression is important. I often hear, it's work, there's no emotions, we don't need to have emotions, it's all about the task and the mission and getting things done. But if we think back to the definition that we use for EQ, recognize, read, and respond, by not using enough emotional expression, you are not putting anything out there for anyone to read. Right?
I can't use my EQ, right? I can't read, so I know how to respond if you are really giving me nothing to go on.
I think that creates some of the most uncomfortable experiences, honestly. If I'm like sharing information with someone,
it's just
like,
dead.
I'm not getting anything back. Can you give me can you blink your eye? You know, anything. But I think we need that information to know how to proceed. And if people aren't giving us any expression at all, it's challenging.
Well, or I think it's really easy to misinterpret what might be going on. I'm reminded of a coaching client I had one time where I was on site and observing a executive team meeting, and he was there with his team, and we had the full day, and they were going through a bunch of pretty serious stuff. There were some financial hardships going on in the company, and the industry was, challenged, and so the topics were pretty intense. We called a break, and we come back from the break. He had taken a phone call on the break, and we came back, and his whole demeanor had completely changed, and he was short-tempered and impatient. And I was like, who did he just talk to? And of course, the whole room is sort of whispering, back and forth. Did he just get off the phone with the senior executive? Was it HR? What's going on? And so there was a lot of assumptions that were being made about what was going on with his change in behavior. And I pulled him aside on the next break, and I just said, what's happened? Like, who did you talk to? What's going on? And he said, my divorce attorney just called me on the last break, and, she wants this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I don't know if you've realized it, but everybody's picked up the change in your mood and your delivery. And he was like, what?
They're closing the Scranton branch.
Exactly. Right. That was the assumption was, things are more dire than we thought. And he's really taken it out on us. And he was great about it because his emotional self-awareness was so low around what he was expressing. And when we don't communicate what we're expressing or why we're expressing it, people are left to guess, and they can guess very wrong.
Yep, exactly. And if he had just taken the time to maybe say, I'm sorry, I've just had a rather difficult phone call. I don't want it to interrupt what we're talking about here, but just so you know, if I'm reacting a little differently, it's not you. It's what I just experienced.
Yes. And he did do that after the second break. He finally came back and said, okay, sorry, I just was given word, that this is a problem.
Well, and that's a good example of the fact that the ability to do this in real time. Okay, I can always look back and say, oh, that's what I should have done. I should have told them earlier. But that's part of my goal in my self-awareness, is to be able to pick it up in real time and
just
share it.
For a little self-promotion, this is why a coach helps so much, right? Because I don't think he would have caught on the whole meeting.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely, yeah.
So kudos to you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
People always think they're more mysterious than they are, and if they're able to suppress things that no one else is picking up on. And 9 times out of 10, even when you think you're not emoting, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are noticing. If you think of even that scenario, often what I hear is, well, the people that have known me for a long time, they know how to read me, even though I have low emotional expression. Or sometimes they'll say, well, I wait for somebody else. I have to wait, right? Because the emotional expression, showing emotion reflects trust in a way. And if you want to build a good interpersonal relationship, somebody's got to dip their toe in the pool first. Somebody has to make a first move.
I think recognizing my own emotions. What are the things that trigger me? And how do I tend to react when I'm triggered? And how are people interpreting that? I think just having that recognition of what I'm doing, how I'm responding. Because oftentimes people, well, why are you so quiet right now? Do you have something to say? And I'm like, actually, it's going on in my head, but I haven't processed it enough to say it.
You're saying I'm triggered by this workshop room not being in the order I want it to be right now.
That could be.
The tables are not set up the way they need to be.
Okay, fine, people. I like structure.
But I think you're right. I think there are these sometimes silent narratives that people carry around with them. And they sometimes can be destructive if we are so, and it could also be a stress response, right? It's a stress response. I shut down. So I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to give you nothing. And I think that's helping the situation, but actually sometimes it's making it worse.
Yeah, you said something a little bit ago where if I don't express myself, I'm leaving the other person open to interpretation of what I'm really saying or what I'm really thinking. And so being able to clarify my thoughts, my feelings, my rationale, it's going to allow that person more information to act upon in terms of the dialogue that we're having.
Yes. So much of it is interpretation. And let's face it, most of us are pretty egocentric. And so if somebody's behaving in a way that we can't logically understand, it must be because of us.
Yeah, we assume.
Right?
It's us.
We assume it's us.
She's mad at me.
He doesn't like me. I did something wrong. They must not have liked my tone in the email. Fill in the blank.
One of the things when I'm coaching, when someone says that, I always ask them, have you seen them be this way with anyone else? And a lot of times they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so it's not you.
Yes.
This is who they are. This is how they are. And maybe you need to reset some expectations about them.
You mentioned interpreting, and listening is interpretive.
Yes.
Okay, if the 3 of us hear a message from one person, we'll have 3 different interpretations based on what we just heard. And so the more I can clarify my understanding of my own emotions, the more capable I am of expressing them in a way that's going to be more generic for the people that are listening.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be, there's often connotations with emotion that it has to be big emotions.
Or deep.
Or deep emotions.
Deep,
yes.
personal feelings.
Personal feelings, things like that. We're talking about simply saying, hey, I had one of those mornings where everything goes wrong. If I see a little off, it's got nothing to do with you.
Right.
Yeah, this is what
Easy
what I think about that.
Right.
This is how I'm feeling, right? I'm a little frustrated. You know,
Right.
that timeline, is really got me worked up.
Right.
And I know I'm acting a little stressed out because I didn't know we were going to have this done by tomorrow.
Right.
Just things like that, being able to communicate and express.
Normal human reactions to things.
But I think having that self-awareness takes time. It takes some reflection time,
Yes.
right? And our days now are so back to back to back. If we're a virtual worker, we might have a Zoom call after a Zoom call after a Zoom call. And we have no time to just kind of process, why am I feeling this way? What triggered me? And how do I sort of clean the slate so when I walk into the next meeting, it's not just all that emotion from earlier in the day rolled into my next thing.
Great point.
Yeah.
So if we can take those little breaks throughout the day, especially if you know you're going to have a tough meeting or a tough conversation, or you're working with someone who challenges you, block out 5 minutes on your calendar, 10 minutes on your calendar to get up, walk away from the computer, get outside if you can, just to process. And then I think that helps a lot from the snowball effect that can
Yes.
happen
Right.
with emotion.
And it's not a totally selfish move. It's for me and everyone else around me.
Right.
I mean, let's
Right.
face it, if I can go into that meeting more level-headed, I need that 10 minutes ahead of time if I'm struggling with what happened just before. So it's a mutual benefit.
Agreed. We've spent a lot of time talking about having low emotional expression, high
Yeah.
emotional self-awareness. What about the inverse?
The opposite.
Yes.
Because I see that too. Someone's just expressing, and you know they haven't really even thought it through themselves. They're just reacting in the moment, and it is so clear that they're going to regret what's happening right now.
Or they're going to regret it, or the people in the room with them
Well,
are going
yes.
to regret it. I mean,
You never have to wonder how those people are feeling.
No, that's
exactly.
true.
Because
They're easy to read. So
I think we've all
there's
been in
something
a room
good.
where it's like, you see someone and you know they're about to speak. Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
Oh, yeah.
And you know it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
So that's high emotional expression and not a lot
Low
of self-awareness. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that could be a stress response too.
Yes.
In fairness, right? That could be something that happens as someone is just reacting in the
Yeah.
heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Or they're more of a gut reaction person.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, I'm glad we're going to be talking about stress
Yes,
soon. I
coming
think
up,
it's coming
future
right
episode.
up.
We're talking
Get ready.
about stress because stress does affect all of this
Yes,
too.
absolutely it does. It does indeed. Right.
All right. Well, great topic. This one I feel like we could talk for a whole hour on. I also have an article on my LinkedIn page, which is, I think, 3 ways or 5 ways to build trust using emotional expression, because you talked about trust earlier.
Yes.
So if
And I
anyone's
believe there's
interested in
another
that.
one that is along the lines of, and maybe you can recall the exact title, not using emotion does not mean you're being emotionally.
EQ.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I always say like emotional intelligence is not emotionless.
Yes.
So yes, both of those would support the topic today. If anyone's interested in any follow up on that, I'll link them. I'll put them in the show notes.
Great.
So.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. We were so happy to have this conversation in person today and hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned next time if you want give us any feedback. If you have any challenges or ideas that you would like to have discussed on the show, you're welcome to email us at podcasts@jenshirkani.com. Thanks for joining us today on the Ego versus EQ and You podcast. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow us or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and please share our show with others. For questions or future topic suggestions, please email us at podcast@jenshirkani.com. Until next time, keep using your EQ and show ego who's boss.